Hey everybody, welcome back to the Living Traditions Homestead. On Wednesday we gave you guys some news about our calf Henry. Henry has been pretty darn sick for the last week. Today is Wednesday. Today's actually the day you guys saw the last video. You won't be seeing this until Saturday, but we wanted to give you some further updates on how Henry is doing and his overall condition.
When we filmed Wednesday's video, it was actually Monday for us, so it's been 2 days since we filmed and showed you guys what was going on with him. We haven't seen much improvement from Henry at all. We're very happy that every day we've come to check on him in the morning, he's still been alive, even though the night before that we were always worried about maybe he wouldn't make it through the night.
Today is the first day that we feel like he's actually backslidden. He is doing not as good as he was yesterday. And so we've been back in touch with the vet. They're going to try a couple more things, but they need us to bring him to the vet. So we actually need to get him in the trailer and take him into town so that they can try a couple more things. Now, for those of you who didn't see the first video, we'll leave a link to it, but also we'll just catch you up real quickly. So about a week ago, we found Henry down at the bottom of a hill. He was completely bloated, in a lot of pain. We were able to get him up back to the barn. The vet came out and put kind of a port called a trocar in his side, which was kind of a vent tube to let all the gas out. But we've had to take that out, and since that time, he's starting to bloat again. He's not really eating. He's drinking a little bit, but that's kind of where we're at. Henry is about 3 months old, and he's just not doing well at all.
He continues to have a fever. Whenever he doesn't have the fever reducing medication called Banamine, as soon as that wears off, his fever comes back. So now we're out of that medication, and that's one of the reasons why we need to get in touch with the vet.
And then the other kind of bad sign that started about 2 days ago is that he's now having black tarry stool, which could indicate some type of bleeding or something internally. So it's just not a good situation. We really aren't sure what's going to happen at this point. So we got to get him back to the vet. But before we try to get him in the trailer, we're going to try to get his temperature one last time. The medicine is completely worn off now. We're out of it. We're not going to get more until we get to the vet. So we're going to try to get his temp and see where he's at with no medication in him at all. Now, he is on his 3rd round of penicillin, but he is now, none of the fever-reducing medicine is in his system. So we're going to get his temperature, see where he's at, and then get him loaded in the trailer and head for town. All right, so his temperature is 103, which is a little bit high. So definitely a good thing that we're getting him back to the vet for more medicine. Next thing is to try to get him in the trailer, which he's never been in a trailer, so this could be interesting. Luckily, since he's not feeling well, he's not nearly as energetic as he normally would be. All right, well, that wasn't the prettiest kettle loading job, but we got him in.
He didn't want to go in, but he also is pretty weak and could barely get his legs up there.
Right.
So he's in. Now we just need to make it to town, get him unloaded, and see if the vet can help.
Right. Well, it's the next morning. We got back from the vet after dark last night, so we couldn't film anything last night. We came down this morning. Once again, not sure what to expect, but Henry is still alive this morning.
We want to go over with you everything that we talked with the vet about and the things that he was able to do, and really overall his prognosis, his opinion about how this is going to go or how it's not going to go.
Right. So let's start first with the things that the vet kind of ruled out. He says that Henry is not showing the classic signs of having eaten something foreign, like a piece of metal or broken glass or something like that, where his stomach is distended and how he's kind of holding himself, the symptoms just aren't there for that. He really doesn't believe that that is the case.
Right, and that's called hardware disease. So he's sure that it's not hardware disease.
Now, just as a precaution though, just in case the vet is wrong, which is something I admire about him, is he says, you know, there's always times where maybe the symptoms aren't classic symptoms, so let's go on the side, err on the side of caution. He did put a magnet inside of Henry, and if there is a piece of metal in his stomach, that magnet will make that piece of metal stick to it, and then it'll help. So he did that. We had him at the vet anyway, so we did that just to be precautious.
We also took a stool sample so that he could take a look at it. At the time that we took the sample, it didn't look as black and tarry as it had looked. So he didn't think that there was any blood in the stool at that time. It doesn't mean that there wasn't blood in the stool before.
Right.
But he was able to take a look at that under a microscope, and it showed that he does not have any parasites.
Right.
So it's not a parasite issue.
Right. So when we took his stool sample in, it was pretty much pure liquid, but it wasn't black anymore, which
Right.
I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign, but I would hope that it's a good sign.
Right.
He also let us know that he doesn't think that this is really a feed issue. Originally, the vet thought that maybe this could be because the calves have been eating just a tiny bit of Hope's grain every day, but after seeing how long the symptoms have been going on and the fact that we've made sure that that hasn't happened in over a week now, he said that that is almost certainly not the cause either.
Right.
So on to the things that he thinks it could be. First of all, let me say this. He told us very clearly that we may never know the exact cause of this. There are some things that they just can't do on a calf, such as exploratory surgery. And so because of that, there's a good chance that we're never going to find out exactly what is causing this.
Right. One thing he said could be a possibility is it could be some kind of genetic thing with the way his digestive process works. Something to do with one of the nerves might not be working properly that would prevent him from being able to digest hay and grass and corn and things. And he said that this would be the typical time within his development that something
3 to 4 months of age.
That something like that would come up, because prior to this time, the calves have just been living 100% on Hope's milk. But right now is the time where they start, tasting a little bit of grain or, eating grass from the ground, trying some hay. And if his digestive system isn't working to process that, that could be a genetic thing showing up in Henry right now, which ultimately, isn't a good thing.
Right. It's not something we can do anything about.
Right.
Another option is that it could be some type of bacteria. There's no way of knowing. So what he did is we've had him on penicillin for the last 5 or 6 days. Yesterday, the vet switched him to a different antibiotic, of kind of a broader spectrum antibiotic, and one that will stay in his system longer. This shot will actually stay in his system for 5 days. The vet thinks that if it is bacteria, that between what we've already done with penicillin and the 5 days on this new antibiotic, that ought to knock it out. So if he's not better after that, it most likely was not a bacteria, but that's, you know, the treatment that we're doing right now for that.
Right. The last thing that he said could be a possibility is some kind of virus. And basically, if it is some kind of virus, it should work through his body within a total of, 10 to 14 days. And if his body can handle it, if it can just overcome it, that he should just be better within 10 to 14 days.
Right. So that's really where we're at this point. Other than that, I mean, it's really a game of wait and see what happens. Right now, Henry is at least up, walking around. We've seen him drinking water. At least, even though it's diarrhea, there are things moving through his system. The other thing that the vet did yesterday is gave him a bunch of mineral oil down into his stomach. So they basically took a tube, put it down into his stomach, and then gave him like half a gallon of mineral oil. He thought, just on the off chance that there is something like say he ate some baling twine or something like that is just kind of stuck in there, that the mineral oil might help be able to push that through. So, that's another option that, we're just trying to cover all the bases, and so is the vet.
One thing he did notice is that the hole in his side where that trocar used to be, it's still open enough to be venting some of the gas that's building up. And right now that's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. It's really preventing Henry from kind of basically going into shock.
Right, bloating too much.
Yeah, so that's a good thing. That will heal on its own over time. It doesn't need stitches or anything like that. And it's really a common thing to do to cows who are bloating, and the hole just remains there until there's not a ton of pressure, and then it just heals up like normal. We've had a lot of questions about that.
Right. So let's go take a look at Henry. We just came to the barn this morning to check on him. We haven't seen him get up yet at all. Let's go over and take a look at him and just see how he's doing overall this morning. Morning, Henry. Morning, Hudson.
Hey, buddy. I know.
I know, you don't feel good, huh? I sure wish you could talk and tell us what was going on. So we are still keeping Henry on the fever reducer medicine. We're going to do that for another 5 days just to help keep him a little more comfortable. And while he has been not so active, we've taken advantage of that time to give him an ear tag. So hopefully if he pulls through this, he'll still grow up to be a good steer, and having an ear tag will help us identify him if he ever finds his way through a fence. So, but right now, it's just a wait and see.
We're going to continue checking on Henry, every couple of hours throughout the day. But we're really just going to leave him alone to rest and hopefully recuperate. Today's going to be a gorgeous day. It's going to be 65, if you can believe it, in the beginning of December. So he will have the perfect opportunity to get better out here. He's found himself a really nice, cushy bed out here next to the hay feeder. So hopefully he can just rest and recuperate and get better.
Well, it's Friday morning. We want to give you guys another update on how Henry is doing. Yesterday we checked him every few hours throughout the day. Yesterday was actually in the low 70s. It ended up being just a gorgeous December day.
So beautiful, so beautiful. And Henry pretty much laid around most of the day yesterday. We didn't really see him do a whole lot. He was laying in hay most of the day. So we're hoping that means that he was just using the day to recuperate and rest.
Soak up some sunshine.
That's right. Yeah, sunshine does the body good.
Let's go in and check on him. The first thing we're going to do before we give him another injection of the fever reducer is check his temperature. And then we've got a couple other things we need to get ready, because I don't know if you guys can see those clouds behind us, but Yesterday was in the 70s. The high today is in the 50s. The high tomorrow isn't even supposed to be out of the 40s. We're getting several days of winter weather moving through the Ozarks, and a lot of rain is supposed to be coming, so we want to give a nice warm area for the cows to be able to get out of that over the next few days. His stomach still feels very, very tight, like a really well inflated balloon. But there is still some stuff coming out on his side where the trocar used to be, so at least it's probably letting out some of that pressure over time. Alright, well, his temperature is 101.7, which is pretty much normal for a cow, and the color of the poop that's on the thermometer actually looks much better. It's not black anymore. Hopefully those are all good signs. We're going to get him his medicine, and then we're going to start working on their nice warm area to get out of the rain. Here, Henry. Time for your medicine.
Here.
All right, that'll make you feel better. All right, let's get to work before this rain comes. We've got, according to the weatherman, about an hour before it's supposed to start. Let me show you what we're going to be doing. So we have this part of the barn, and we already have this so that they can get in so far, but we have this kind of barricade back here so they can't access this whole thing, which was fine when the calves were real little or when it was just Hope. But now that the calves are getting bigger and Hope wants to be in here too to get out of the rain, we're actually going to move this back a little bit so they just have more room, and then we're going to put a bunch of hay in here so that they have a nice warm area. So that's what we're going to work on right now before this bad weather gets here. Good morning, Patches. Patches had to come make her debut again. Yeah. I think she's going to be our new photo bomber. All right, we've got the floor cleaned up where we need it. Now we're gonna put kind of the barrier back here. We've decided to give them an area that's about 20 feet long, and then this area is about 10 feet wide. So that should be plenty of room for the three of them to get out of the rain and stay nice and warm. Let's get this put back up, and then we'll start bringing in some hay and get everything ready for them.
Well, it's starting to sprinkle, so our timing is just about perfect.
Well, the barn area is all ready. The rain is starting just a little bit, not too heavy yet, but it's coming. Now today, Henry looks like he's doing a little bit better again, but you guys, this has been just an up and down. Last night, we thought he was doing terrible. We didn't think he was going to be alive this morning. So we still don't know where all of this is headed with Henry. It feels like all within the span of one day, we'll have a lot of encouragement and a lot of discouragement as far as his health goes. And at this point, it's really out of our control.
At this point, the vet has said, you know, we've really done all that we can do. It's up to Henry and his body whether or not he's going to get better. Now, within the next week or 10 days, Henry either needs to get better or he's going to get a lot worse.
Right.
The vet said it's not fair to let him linger on and linger on if he's not doing better and if he's just at a low point, just basically barely eating. There's a long time between then and now, and so he's got a lot of time to improve. But there's always that lingering possibility that we may need to put him down at some point.
Right. We sure hope that isn't the case, and we will do everything in our power and financial needs to make sure that that isn't the case. But at the end of the day, this is part of farm life. Sometimes animals just don't thrive. Sometimes things go wrong, and we may never know exactly what is causing these health issues with Henry. We sure hope he gets over it. We sure hope that all of the things that we are doing make a difference. But mentally, you always need to prepare yourself for the fact that sometimes things go not the way you want them to.
We'd appreciate your continued prayers for Henry and for our situation. We absolutely love that so far you guys have been praying so hard for us. Thank you so much.
So if you guys are enjoying seeing what the real farm life is like, we sure hope that you'll hit the subscribe button before you leave. If you know other people who are interested in this type of lifestyle, we would appreciate it if you'd share our videos on all of your social media. Until next time, thanks for stopping by our homestead. Take care, and God bless.
God bless.